Hi, welcome back to Examining Life. My name is Amanda. Thank you for tuning in to another Wisdom Wednesday. Thank you to all of my subscribers and my patrons. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. Okay, so today's Wisdom Wednesday quote is kind of lengthy, so please bear with me. Continuing with this week's theme of the philosophy of language, I chose a quote that is related to the philosophy of language, and I want to preface this by saying that I don't actually have any formal background in the philosophy of language, so please feel free to look into this concept further on your own. Okay, so today's quote is, quote, "The telegram, grandmother dead, funeral, Wednesday, can be translated into any language you like, from Latin and Hindustani to the dialects of the Apaches, Eskimos, or the tribe of Dobu. We could even do this, no doubt, with the language of the Mousterian period, if we knew it. The reason is that everyone has a mother who has a mother, that everyone must die, that the ritualization of the disposing of a corpse is a cultural constant, as is also the principle of reckoning time. But beings that are unisexual would not know the distinction between mother and father, and those that divide like amoebas would be unable to form the idea of a unisexual parent. The meanings of grandmother, thus, could not be conveyed. Beings that do not die, amoebas dividing, do not die, would be unacquainted with the notion of death and funerals. They would therefore have to learn about human anatomy, physiology, evolution, history, and customs before they could begin the translation of this telegram that is so clear to us." End quote. By Stanislaw Lem. So I found this quote to be a good example of how we relate to language, how we give words meaning, and whether or not we can understand that meaning. What seems like a simple telegram has many underlying premises, as mentioned, such as a mother that has a mother, or the mother of my mother, particularly, if that would be my grandmother, and also that of gender, which goes into the difference between mother and father, and that of grandmother and grandfather, death, the ritualization of the disposing of the corpse, and time, including the day Wednesday. Grandmother dead, funeral Wednesday. The concept of gender is needed to interpret the word grandmother and give that word meaning. The end of life is needed to understand the word death. The ritualization of disposing of a corpse, a dead body, is needed to understand the word funeral. And the notion of time is needed to understand the word Wednesday. Without understanding these concepts, the words in this telegram have little to no meaning. So this is where Lem discusses amoebas, which do not have a concept of death because they divide, and they also don't have the concept of gender because they don't need to mate as humans mate, and they just divide in order to make more of themselves. And also, since there isn't really death either, then there is no need for the ritualization of the disposal of a corpse. And time is also not really needed. An amoeba literally could not grasp these concepts. And of course, one can make the case that amoebas don't have language, so this might be irrelevant and it doesn't really matter to them. So it's kind of like a supply and demand thing. If we have a demand for language, as humans do, then we have a supply of language. But if we don't have a demand for language, then there is no supply for language, such as in the amoeba's case. The point here that he's trying to make is that if one does not need to reproduce with another, have gender, or die, then the concepts of grandmother, dead, and funeral would not have meaning. And if there's no meaning, there also can't be interpretation or comprehension. of these concepts. But do words only have meaning because of our experiences and our relationship to these experiences? Or do words have a more a priori meaning? Would words have meaning regardless of whether we can relate to what the words mean or represent? Let me know what you think in the comments. However, one can also say that words are mere symbols, and that they only have meaning if we give them meaning. Let's take the word Wednesday. If we didn't have a calendar, or had a different calendar, the word Wednesday wouldn't make much sense. Furthermore, the word Wednesday only represents a certain amount of time. Even if the word did not exist, the time itself would still exist. We call the day in the middle of the week Wednesday, but that's only because we allow it to have meaning. And from a pragmatic standpoint, it's practical and useful to have some structure of an organized calendar. Without one, the grandchild would not know what day to arrive. But again, regardless of the practical use of breaking down and labeling time as days of the week, it only has meaning because we give it meaning. And perhaps words really are only symbols for concepts that we want to have meaning, and then convey that meaning to others. Thank you so much for watching this week's Wisdom Wednesday. What is your take of the philosophy of language? Do words have a priori meaning, or are words simply symbols? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And please subscribe, comment, like, and share. Stay tuned every Wednesday. Thank you. Bye.